Hello, how are you? Today I want to talk about a historical issue and then connect it with an experience that I've had myself. Um, this is about the man-eaters of Tsavo. I'm very sure most of you have heard of the man-eaters of Tsavo. These were two notorious lions who actually killed over 300, no, over 130 railway construction workers. These were mostly Indians who constructed the British, Kenyan, Uganda railway in 1878. So these animals at the moment were sold to a museum in Illinois, in Chicago, Illinois, the USA. Um, the colonel who led the construction actually managed to kill these two animals, and then he sold the carcass to a museum in the USA. So they're still there in the USA. But that's not the story today. The story today, which is backed by an evidence, is that the remnants or the descendants of man-eaters of Tsavo are still there to date. They're still there to date. This is my experience with the descendants, if I may say so. One day, as I traveled back from campus to Mombasa, our bus broke down around after Manyani, between Manyani and Voi, around 6:30 a.m. So we were to either wait for another bus to be brought or for a mechanic to be brought from Mombasa to come and repair the bus before we continue with the journey. So what happened is the passengers embarked from the bus and they went into the bush and the shrubs around that place. Some went for a short haul. Some just went to take a breath of fresh air and to relax because we had a night journey. It's only that the bus, I think, delayed because at that time we should have reached Mombasa, but we were still in before Voi. So after a while, several truck drivers stopped to warn us that that area is infested, if I may use Trump vocabulary, infested. That place is infested with lions and lioness, specifically, because the lionesses are the hunters in most cases that hunt during the day, and they're not afraid of human beings. They actually kill human beings for a meal. So after several warnings, we decided to obey, and they told us to either go inside the bus or be by the doorstep of the bus. Just in case we see a lion, then we can always go in and close the bus in time. So we heeded and then moved inside the bus. Some stayed by the doorstep. Of course, young people were all told to go inside the bus. So the mechanic came in the afternoon and then repaired the vehicle, and then we continued with the journey. Meanwhile, we saw the lions in a distance. We saw elephants because we left that place around 7 p.m. So you could imagine, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. we were in the wilderness. We were in the wild, the Tsavo National Park. So we saw even the elephants had grazing towards the road when it approached evening. A very huge herd of elephants, and even a pride of lions in a distance. And we were told the reason why the elephants also come closer to the road at night is because they are afraid of the pride. Sometimes there could be so many and they could kill one elephant in the night, because elephants are not good, are not nocturnal kind of animals, like unlike the lions. So that is one experience I had. The second experience, I was coming from Mombasa, I think, to Nairobi around 10 p.m. We were in the same area, in the Tsavo area. And apparently there was a vehicle that broke down and there were marauding, I mean, roaring lions, a huge pride of lions that were roaring by the roadside. So what happened is, to help these people, vehicles from both sides of the road were stopped. So vehicles from the opposite direction were stopped, and vehicles from our side, from Mombasa side, were also stopped in order to help these people repair the vehicle and then leave the area. The reasoning was, if they were left there with such a pride of lions, which were basically ready to make a meal out of them, they would have been killed. They would have been devoured by these elephants. I heard it with my own ears, the way they roared around that area, and they were moving up and down, and because the vehicles were so many, they couldn't attack. Somehow they were scared. I think they were police officers as well or something, I'm not so sure. But yeah, so we waited until this vehicle was repaired and till it's embarked on the journey. That's when everybody proceeded with the journey. So that's the second evidence that the man-eaters, the remnants of man-eaters of Tsavo, are still there tonight, still craving for human flesh. The third one was a driver who came to collect his vehicle at the port, I think, and he had a colleague. So when they reached the Tsavo area, the colleague actually went for a short call by the roadside, and then a lioness came and attacked him. The driver couldn't do anything. He couldn't help, because if he went out, he could have been killed as well. So he helplessly watched as his colleague was being mauled by the lioness. The most recent is the construction of SGR. You can look up for that information anywhere. The construction workers there were also attacked. I'm not so sure whether somebody was killed, but they were attacked. And the manager, the person who is managing the construction, had to provide security for the rest as they constructed, specifically the area within Manyani and Tsavo. I mean, Manyani and Voi, the notorious area where these two notorious man-eaters of Tsavo used to prowl during that time. So they had to provide security for the SGR construction workers even during the day, and they were not supposed to do the construction during the night in that area because of the fear of these lions. So the descendants are still there. They still crave for human flesh. it's being said that these animals actually started craving for human flesh, that is the man eaters, because the Indians who constructed the railway and the Indians who engaged in long distance trade used to cremate those people among them who died. So they could cremate them around that area, or throw the remains around that area. So these animals actually got to taste the human bones, the human flesh, and things like that during that time. And that is how they came to realize that human beings were very edible, very tasty for them. So that's how they started eating human beings. So I've not seen so many media houses report about this, but this is something that is still there. Oh, one evidence that I was forgetting is about a tour guide who has a tour farm within the CBD of Mombasa. She took some of her tourists, her clients, to Tsavo area, and they had a van, and they met these huge lions and lionesses in that area. Fortunately, I think they had a game warden, but they were told to keep quiet, like to be still in the bus. So the windows were already closed, so they remained still as these animals went around the vehicle. And you know, they're very intelligent. Probably they saw the warden there with a gun or something, so that's why they kept off. So they just went around, monitored everything through the transparent glass window, and then they left. But the people who say if they couldn't have took notice of the game warden, probably they would have even tried to break in to, you know, feed on these people. So that area is still very dangerous. Yeah, it is still very dangerous. The remnants are still there, the descendants are still there, and they're still craving for human flesh like they used to do during that period. So when you go to Tsavo, just be careful. Um, uh, but it would be probably a good thing to have your own experience of the same. At least with me, I had an experience, and I got to know that indeed the descendants of man-eaters of Tsavo are still there. There's still a big debate of whether the skull or the carcass should be brought back from a museum in Chicago, Illinois, where they were sold by the colonel who killed them, the person who spearheaded the construction of Kenya-Uganda Railway on behalf of the the British government. So there is still that debate, and if you recall, I think there are so many movies that have been shot that concern the man-eaters of Tsavo. Most of them have even won huge awards. You can look for them, and that means these are phenomenal animals. And if indeed they're still remnants, then probably the Kenya wildlife should look for them and probably preserve them or something. Yeah, because that would be very what should I term it as? That could be good for the wildlife service if at all we could have like the notorious animals still being seen to date alive. in as much as they're just offsprings for the same. Okay, until next time, have a lovely time.